Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to this new edition of the Daily Analysis. Today is Friday, May 23rd. So, as always on Fridays, please be extremely cautious. Let's start by focusing on today's macroeconomic data. There really aren't any particularly significant ones. As for the United States, there are some figures regarding the PMI. And in Great Britain, well, some data already came out this morning that continue to be a bit above expectations. So the situation is causing some concern as far as Great Britain is concerned. From an operational point of view, let's obviously recap what happened yesterday. Essentially, little or nothing, in the sense that they slipped away in a substantial trading range. In short, not with volumes very high. In short, quite low volumes, but in any case, there were movements. In short, there were some good trading opportunities in short, in and within this trading range. As for today, from an operational standpoint, I'll repeat, today is Friday, so we need to be extremely cautious. Monday is Memorial Day, so it's a holiday. The service obviously won't be active on Monday because it's a holiday in both Great Britain and the United States, so it really isn't worth getting to work. And as we were saying, from an operational point of view right now, let's start with the Nasdaq, which at the moment is moving between the BC3 levels and the RD0 and SD0 levels. So basically the day has started in the same vein as yesterday. The levels to monitor remain the same as the ones we pointed out yesterday. I haven't changed them. 20 and 8, these are important levels, 20 and 8. And then we'll also take a look at the CS level. I repeat, from a broader, let's say, perspective. From an operational point of view, strictly within the day, I repeat, at the moment it seems to me to be a trading range situation. So definitely between S-DON and R-DON. Basically the range with some spikes near the highs recorded yesterday at the open and close. So this area here around 21,330, 21,340 more or less, which also corresponds to this other high here. On the downside, obviously these three lows here seem pretty clear to me. This area really seems super obvious. Honestly, there's not much more to say. We're in this trading range, and not just today. Even though we're now in the lower part and the trading range is narrowing, if we zoom out the chart, you can see that we actually have a somewhat wider trading range. Let's say that right now we're working in the lower half of the range, so that's what we're focusing on. If necessary, we'll then be ready for any potential breakouts, whether to the downside or if it happens to the upper part of the range. Let's move on to ES, which is obviously in a similar situation. As you can see here too, things are tightening up. Basically we're operating within a trading range, and at the moment we're moving along. You can see that the lows are getting a bit deeper each time, trying to test this level I've drawn, which I pointed out yesterday, around the 5,820 area. This is the area to watch, and if it breaks, it would trigger a whole series of hedges and new price actions that, in my opinion, would push the price much lower. We'll see if this scenario actually ends up happening. As always, we have to focus on what's in front of us. Right now, this is the situation. We're in a trading range. Even here, if we look at it in terms of broader trend, wider trading range, we're operating in the lower part of this trading range. So today we're working with this, probably also as a result of the decrease in volatility we've been seeing in recent days. That's why these swings are getting smaller and smaller, and we have to adapt and take what the market gives us. Certainly we can't expect to achieve anything extraordinary when the days are characterized by low movement. Okay, let's move on to the other two American futures, starting with the Dow Jones share. It too is operating within this range, although as you can see the range is getting narrower and narrower. The Dow Jones is working right at the end of the range due to the volatility compression we're witnessing. So here as well, let's evaluate this area basically between RD-DON and RD2 to the upside, and to the downside we'll definitely monitor S-DON with some possible extension down to SD2. The Dow Jones is a bit more volatile. As for the Russell, well, the situation is a bit more concerning due to the whole issue related to the risk of a breakout in the yields on US government bonds. Basically, everything we already discussed in yesterday's daily analysis. As you can see, yesterday we made a brief dip to 2030, and well, this is a first warning sign. Now we're working back above it, so maybe weekend this morning, day last night. Yes, no, this morning they actually went to test this level, which had then led to a strong recovery. Fortunately, it held, and now it's testing the upper part, so a break of this level could bring prices back down to the BIX area around 2080. On the downside, of course, we're monitoring this level, which is SD0. If it breaks, it could easily bring prices down to RD2 for a test of these lows. Okay, let's move on to the DAX, which continues to sail full speed ahead even this morning. In short, it started off really strong to the upside. Even though yesterday, well, it had a bit of turbulence, it also moved sideways a little, but this morning it quickly recovered, went on to test the previous highs, which are right here, and is currently trading above Ardon. So probably, as you can see here, it went to do a retest, and we'll probably go on to test RD2, which more or less corresponds to the area of these highs here, maybe just a few ticks higher. So the highs could be updated. Let's see what scenario unfolds. If these levels hold, the price could also return to test this BC3 level around 24.08, and even a bit lower with HV at 24.060. Basically, this whole area could easily be retested. Let's move on to OIL, of course. Here it comes. It's also moving a bit sideways, and here too the bursts are starting to die down a little. Basically, it had that big spike on Wednesday to test the 64 area, only to then drop back down and retest these recent lows. Yesterday, dipped below them a little again. Now it's working on it again with an attempt to break through. So let's keep an eye on this whole area between 60.50 and 60.30, because a breakout could push prices down to the 59 area as well. On the upside, of course, we should instead monitor this level here, which looks very good to me, around 61.30. Basically, it corresponds to these lows here, these highs here, and then there's this beautiful BC3 level, so it's definitely something to watch for upward moves. For bullish moves, this area here could also be a good spot for a quick short, a fast retest of the central area of this consolidation that's happening in this zone. Let's move on to gold. Here it is. Yesterday, well, made a bit of an upward move, then went back to retest well from 3,280. I think that was the important area we had previously. Basically, during the initial stages of the drop in this pullback that was pointed out. Now it's obviously acting as support and has stopped the movement several times. You can see how many times it's been tested, bode well to break through it, where all this congestion formed, and then once it was broken, it was retested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. It held, and then the price took off upwards. So this is definitely an important support area at the moment. On the upside, at this point, we obviously need to monitor those highs reached yesterday. If the price breaks through 3,350, which also corresponds to these highs here, this peak here, which is basically last week's closing level, it could open the way for moves up to 3,380, possibly even testing 3,400. Okay, as for the SPX, the situation is similar. It's continuing, moving sideways a bit, resting right on the low of the retracement wave that we pointed out with some minor deviations, but it always ends up closing more or less in that area. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because a break of this level would change the scenario somewhat. Here too, the level to watch is 5,800 and 25,800, which absolutely needs to be monitored, because in my opinion, breaking through this level would trigger rather sharp downward moves. We still have to look at Bitcoin, which yesterday made a nice upward surge, reaching 112, so quite a strong move. And then, as is natural after such a good upward movement with new weekly highs, it retraced a bit. After that, it has been moving sideways a bite. In fact, right now we're trading below S-Zone, so we could possibly see an extension down to test SD2. which corresponds to these highs here and this whole area that previously acted as resistance and after the breakout served as support. So I expect new support here in this area, which matches the SD2 zone. If it holds, there will likely be another attempt at the highs, and if those are broken, prices could easily move back toward the 1D max area, which we can identify around 114,000 or 113.5. Perfect. With this, we've reached the end of today's daily analysis and the end of this week. I hope it has been as profitable for you as it has been for me. As always, I invite you to leave a like on the video and follow me on social media, and we'll catch up later in the chat. Thank you all for your attention.